On the first day of class, Professor Hill told us that experience design is the utilization of design thinking and principles to create meaningful and even transformative experiences for self, family, and friends. So I get to be in control. I get to design my life. My big takeaway from positive psychology was learning about the paradox that if you try and look for happiness, you're not going to find it. And I thought that was really interesting that studies have shown that, and that it connects with the Bible, that we lose ourselves when we are in service of others. One of my favorite parts about learning about flourishing was talking about strengths and weaknesses. I loved that we were taught to not forget to spend time on your strengths. I feel like in our culture we're always told to just work on our weaknesses. Increasing hope plays a big role in achieving authentic happiness. And my favorite part was learning to argue with yourself. And this is something that I've continued to use. And I loved the Barney quote, "Stop being sad and start being awesome instead." In learning about the how of happiness, I really appreciated that we talked about committing, motivation, and habit, because those are all things within our control. We don't get to blame others for not making us happy. A big part of love and positivity is not forcing positivity. Forcing it is lying to yourself, and that's toxic. So I like that it's okay if we're having a hard day, we can acknowledge it. It's okay to feel sad, and then we can just move on. Flow is the optimal human experience, and got my flow graph. It happens when there's just enough competence and just enough challenge where we've got this good flow going. In the Huta and Ryan study, those who were more on the hedonic treadmill and sleeping in were not actually as happy as those who were working really hard and accomplishing things, therefore achieving eudaimonia. Hygge is a big part of thriving. To the Danes, hygge means to be cozy. This is something that really resonated with me. In fact, I loved it so much, I got the little book of hygge, and I've been reading about how to be happy and cozy. Learning about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation is kind of mind-blowing. There really are a lot of benefits to being intrinsically motivated. Like, we learn better, we're more creative, problem solve, and we have an overall richer experience. When talking about self-determination theory, we learned about competence, that we need to be effective when dealing with the environment, autonomy, the need to control our lives, and relatedness, my favorite part, that we need to have affectionate relationships with others. I was shocked when I found out how many Americans did not use their vacation days, and it made me realize that time famine is something that we can change if we consciously make a decision to take time away. I remember learning about children's lost time and thinking about how when I was a kid, how much I was able to play outside and how much time I had to play with my friends. But my siblings, my younger ones, spend so much time doing extracurricular activities, they don't really hang out with friends anymore. I remember doing the class period and building a good life in the digital age where everybody put away their technology, and the class was a lot more involved. It was actually really fun. I think that's important to note that every once in a while it's good to unplug so that we can really experience life. Every summer my family gets to go to Florida, which we look forward to with a lot of anticipation every year. In fact, it's what gets us through the cold months. I'll always be grateful for the time we've been able to spend there. When talking about family rituals, we talked about meals, which was kind of surprising to me. I wouldn't usually think about a meal as a ritual. But looking back, that really is the time my family got to know each other, and it was something that we were able to look forward to at the end of every day, was being able to talk and see each other. We learned that nature and kids together created more of a sense of creativity for the children, and I feel like that was a big part of my childhood. My friends and I would go into the mountains and make forts and do that for hours. We loved it, and we came up with really creative games. We were very happy. When reading about the experience economy, I was reading about how a great experience will involve all the senses, and I was thinking about when I go to a restaurant, I don't just think about the food, I think about the view. Am I going to be able to hear the person I'm talking to? It's all part of the experience. Learning about betraying myself, I'll admit, was a really hard concept. I think because it's true. If we have those thoughts to do something good and then we don't do it, we start to justify, and it's almost like a snowball effect of negative thoughts and feelings. After the Marshmallow Tower competition, I was reminded of when I had to do that for work a few months ago, and they told us that kindergartners were able to do it better because they didn't spend so much time planning, they just did it. So part of designing is just doing it. After reading through my work view and my life view, I realized that they clashed, which at first was kind of upsetting. But as I read through it, I realized that there are two sides of me, and I think it's okay that those two sides kind of keep me in balance. Honestly, the Odyssey reading was one of my absolute favorites because it taught us that there are many lives within us, which made me really excited. There's so much that I can do with my life, and it's a continuous adventure. I loved the interviews in the prototyping section because it gave me a taste of different career paths. With one of them, it was something that I wasn't really considering before, but now I'm really interested, and I'm really grateful that we had the opportunity to do that. At the very end of the very last class, Professor Hill said that balance is a myth, which I really like because nobody's got it all together. The best that we can do is just doing our best, and that's how we create a good life.